Well, I guess we'll start. He can catch up. Good evening. We'll start our meeting with pledge to the flag, please.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we start, anybody that gets up and speak, please come to the microphone, announce who you are. You are being televised tonight. It's hitting the air as soon as we talk, so make sure everybody speaks loud, clear, and state your name on their microphones, please. Okay, hopefully everybody's had a chance to read over the minutes and operating statements from last month. If so, we're in line for a motion for approval.
I make a motion that we approve the operating statements, September 25th, 2017 council meeting minutes, and Quantum's financial statement for September 2017.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and seconds, or any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, ayes?
Aye.
Noes, motion's carried. Okay, under the mayor's report, last Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock, we did have a meeting here in the office with the Woodsboro Bank was gracious enough to come down and talk to us. We had actually more people from the banks were here than people from the towns that come out to hear what they had to say. There was 4 representatives from the bank that came down. They gave a very good presentation, and they are willing and very responsive to the needs of the people in town. So I think from what I understand, there are a few residents in town that already transferred their accounts to the Woodsboro Bank. They are still a private-owned bank, small bank, with the friendly neighborhood service that they have in Woodsboro. So we do have some information back here that they left for anybody that's curious or wants some. We have some in the office about their banking services that can be picked up here, and hopefully it'll work out for them. I think it's going to work out for a lot of people in town. Unfortunately, our bank will be closing down as of November the 17th. And I think from what they're telling us right now, all of our personnel at that bank will be transferred to other branches. So it's going to be a little bit different. We're just going to have to travel to Tonytown, Woodsboro, or something like that for our services. And it's unfortunate, but it's just, it's a business, and people aren't coming through the doors. They're doing business online and taking pictures by their phones and cashing checks, and it's just the nature of the business today. So we'll have to deal with it until we grow a little bigger, and maybe we can get another bank in town. A week ago, it was October the 12th, 13th, and 14th, we did have our fall MML conference in Rockville. It was 3 days down there, and I think it was a very productive meeting this year. We had a lot of things they talked about, anything from public information officers and sustainable communities, just a whole host of things they covered. And I think Ellen was there. You was there 2 days, weren't you?
I was there Thursday and Friday.
Yeah. So it was a very nice conference. The fall conference usually doesn't get as many people as the summer conference because the fall conference moves around from place to place. And of course, it's the time of year where a lot of people have children in schools that just can't go. But I think they had one of the largest attendance for the fall conference this year they've had for some time. So it was very well attended. Wednesday evening at 5:30, there is a homecoming parade in Tonytown that I will be attending. That's the parade that goes from town to town for the Francis Scott Key homecoming. So I guess we're in Tonytown this year. Last year, I think
It was rained out.
it was rained out. So then it'll go to New Windsor and then back to Union Bridge. So they do take the turns. We get our turn every third year. Tuesday, the 31st, I will be spending the afternoon in Annapolis again. That's the Emergency Preparedness Committee I'm on. So we'll be in Annapolis all afternoon that day. It's supposed to be at 1 o'clock till 3. It's a good time to try to get out of Annapolis at 3 o'clock in the evening, but I'll be there all day for that afternoon. That's about it. I'm not going to bore you with all the committee meetings and everything I've had this past month. I think there's more interesting things than some of the stuff I've been attending that keeps us busy all month long. Okay, we'll go to John.
Okay, first thing on my time, it says engineering review the villages, and we're not here for an engineering review, but it's more of an update on what's happening with the project known as the Villages of Union Bridge, which is, as you all know, generally the development of the area up along Honeysuckle Lane and up at that north side of town. We had a meeting with, when I say we, Dawn, myself, and Ned Cuman met with representatives of the Warmalt companies and their engineers. And they gave us a little bit of a sort of a status update that they are restarting the design of the project, which we had heard. I think they had contacted Ned. So I thought I'd give you a little bit of the history, just so council's up to date on it, and then talk about the engineering review, which is really one of the things that we need to resolve within the upcoming months. So no action tonight, but just something to think about. The general concept plan for the villages was accepted by the Planning Commission in 2004, January 2004. And that allowed the developer to move towards a preliminary plan. And there was some movement in that direction. The last activity we can find in the files so far has been in 2007. There was some pretty heavy stormwater management review. There was a lot to be done. I vaguely remember some discussion at the Planning Commission back then. And then, of course, the market more or less tanked, and the design, the engineering stopped. And the next thing we heard was in 2010, there were some new statewide stormwater management regulations that had either been adopted or were about to be adopted, and there were some grandfathering provisions in those laws. So the developer requested a waiver of the new stormwater management criteria, which the Planning Commission denied in 2010. And my recollection on that, it was really just a technical interpretation of the grandfathering provisions. Their preliminary plan was not far enough along to be entitled to the waiver. They made the argument that they thought they were, and the Planning Commission disagreed. That was denied, and that was not appealed. And that was really the last activity at all on the project until now. You will remember that a couple years ago, the town reinstated its understanding with the county that the county would do stormwater management review. And so under the current criteria, the developer has to go back and get a concept plan approval of the stormwater management. So they have met with the county, and I couldn't tell you today exactly where they are, but that's under review. And that is the reviewing authority in town now under the memorandum of understanding that you all approved in 2015. And if there are floodplain issues, that would also be under the other attendant MOU. The county would also review that. The plans, the engineering plans for the villages had been reviewed by Stearns and Wheeler, the engineering firm Stearns and Wheeler. So to the extent that there were plans, there was a concept plan that was commented on, and I think there were some early iterations of the preliminary plan. There were engineers at Stearns and Wheeler that were commenting on those on behalf of the town, and under the arrangement that we have with any development, the developer reimburses the town for the engineering expenses. Stearns and Wheeler, we think around 2009, merged into GHD, which coincidentally is the company that gave the town the low bid on the I&I study that's about to begin. And I think that was purely coincidental, as far as we can tell. So the challenge here now is that, Arrow did the review at Jackson Ridge, but Arrow's presence in this area seems to be dwindling. We all know Richard Parks retired earlier this year, and the person who had stepped in for him, she is now working for Frederick County government, and it just seems like that office doesn't have the presence that it did, and certainly doesn't have the people that know Union Bridge, historically. So that's not an easy answer. I'm not saying Arrow is completely out of the question, but we may need to go out for bid or do some searching. Now, I know that Dawn has contacted a few towns to see who they use. We've got some names. I assume there's some recommendations behind that we haven't really evaluated yet. But just so council knows that this is going on, it's in the early stages. Like I said, we met on October 11th. I think Ned Cumin wanted to contact the county to see whether there was any opportunity for the county to do review of roads. But we've got roads and water and sewer. They're all town, to be owned by the town. So they're town public works. So we need to know that we're getting, good representation for the town. And I think also, in fairness to the old Stearns and Wheeler, we'll probably go back and see whether any of those people are still there, whether they retain the files, which I assume they did in some form, and whether they would be a good match. Of course, whatever fees they charge are going to be different now than they were 10 or 15 years ago. So we'll need to sort of bring that up to date, and the developer is entitled to know what he's paying for. So whatever those proposals are, we want to give the developer a chance to comment on those as well. And we have not even brought this to the Planning Commission because the Planning Commission did not meet this month. But it will mean in the months to come that the Planning Commission may get much more active than they have been because they'll start to look at plans again. I think they estimated that there's probably a 2 to 3 month period where they need to get the stormwater management plan approved. So there probably won't be much in terms of Planning Commission activity. But once they get that in place, they can go back to their preliminary plan, and then it just becomes a function of how fast they can move, how fast the town engineer reviews plans, and they could move quickly. They're certainly telling us that they want it to move quickly. They fully understand the limitations with water and sewer capacity in the town, and they're aware of the public works, the draft public works agreement with Jackson Ridge, so they know that any public works agreement that they enter into is going to have a similar type of issues that will have to be dealt with. Gets a little more complicated if they catch up with Jackson Ridge because the town's really on a first come, first serve, but we've only had one project at the front. So there was some discussion about how that might work. No answers, just discussion at this point. And then, of course, this is different than Jackson Ridge because we spent a lot of time on Jackson Ridge this year, but Jackson Ridge had an approved concept, an approved preliminary, an approved final, fully engineered plan that they're sitting on, waiting to, for the market to come back. So we were dealing with just the public works agreement. And what we're dealing with here is the early stages of design. So it probably doesn't come to the council for a while, other than I would think the council will want to be involved in the selection of an engineer and how that will work going forward. We're not ready to make a recommendation, or we just don't have enough information yet, but just so council knows we're working on it. And any thoughts that you have or knowledge that you have of these, these companies that Dawn's got information on, I mean, it's all good stuff to know.
Well, we get a handful of them every year at the conference, so I think, we'll talk to some of the other towns and see who they're dealing with, and maybe get some recommendations from them also.
You can also put it out there on the MML newsletter, they have a classified section where you can put requests for proposals, so you could put requests out there for proposals from engineers who do work for towns.
Okay, so that's sort of a status report on that. If I'm not mistaken, it's a 400-plus unit development. It's a lot of units. It has a retirement community component to it that is probably not going to be part of the first plans that we see. I mean, they may just block off some area for that in the later stages, is the sense that we get.
It's pretty much a first-class, design out there.
Well, and again, the public will have a chance to comment on it. It's been a long time. I don't know how many of our planning commission members were on the planning commission when it came through. Tom Long was.
Yes.
He was the chairman.
Yeah, I came in the middle.
But that might, and I guess
Came in the
Amy.
middle.
But back in 2004, it's been a while, we've had
Right.
turnover, so they may have new perspective as well. So anyway, that'll, they'll have time to take comment and kick that around and come out with the best, best plan. So that's on the villages, and we're working on that. The other is just a quick update. We did the codification of the town code several years ago. I think that's been a positive. That's been much easier to work with. I've talked on and off with Dawn for the past year or so about incorporating some of the changes that have been made since then into the actual code. The code itself is a little bit out of date because we've adopted a couple of ordinances, some fees have changed, some charges have changed. So that's just a matter of kind of, and we've identified, some typographical errors or some, labeling type errors over the years we've kind of marked off. So we're going to work on that, try to get that updated by the end of the year. I don't think that's caused any problems. I mean, if somebody comes in and they have a question, say, about the, the new nuisance disorderly house ordinance, I mean, we know about it, we give them the ordinance, but it's not in the code yet, so that sort of thing. So working on that, if anybody has, now that's not something that I anticipate will be an ordinance that we're adopting anything new. We're really just bringing the codification to date. But if you've seen or noticed something like a typographical error or a word out of place or something like that we can do without an ordinance, this would be the time to do it. If we found something more, substantial, we'd have to do it by ordinance.
Okay.
So we're working on that. And that's all I have.
Okay. Mike?
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I want to give a grant status report for the month, and we'll start off with the USDA truck funding request that we did get approved for. And the truck has been purchased from Ideal EMC in Treasure. And actually, we're waiting to get it's a ladder rack and a toolbox installed, and we already got decals for the doors and everything. One point of interest that came to my attention was based on the town charter, bids were supposed to be submitted to the council for voting and approval for the truck. Now, we had a conversation regarding the bids that we got in. USDA has requirements that they would only accept the lowest bid or lowest proposal that we have. So basically, what I would recommend is that we, I guess for the record,
Make it official?
Yeah, Don, since you're the, I guess it's your department, that you would make a motion to accept and ratify the recommendation to go forward with that purchase and then have a vote on that if possible.
Okay.
And if before you make that motion, if I could just make one observation, that is completely consistent with Mike's report that you had last month.
Right.
Except that I think Mike wasn't here, so we didn't get into that level of discussion.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the USDA funding request.
I'll second that.
Okay. Is there a motion and a second? Is there any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, ayes?
Aye.
Noes? Motion's carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So next one is the USDA inflow and infiltration project that we have. John mentioned it in his report. GHD is the engineering firm that we're working with, and we're working with USDA on that as well. We've been granted the funds to move forward with the project. We do have a contract, a proposal in-house that we're reviewing to move forward with that project. So we have to look at it. We'll have to sign it to execute it. I believe they have already signed it to execute it. And then USDA has to approve it before we can move forward. So that's where we stand on that project at the moment.
Mike,
Yes,
GHD stands for?
that's a very good question. I mean, they were Stearns and Wheeler, GHD out.
It's just their initials. It's,
Yes, it's an acronym.
Yeah,
It's three
their
names, I
company.
believe, Doc.
that's the only thing I've seen is GHD, so.
Okay,
Yeah, I can get back to you on that, Alan, if you like.
that's
Let you know.
not that urgent, I just was curious.
The next project is the Maryland Department of Natural Resources Community Parks and Playground Grant. Basically, that's to refurbish our tennis courts, to install pickleball lines, to totally redo the lighting, put them on a timer, have brand new lighting at the courts. That's been submitted, and we're just pending a decision on that. I'd say we're still several months out from the decision. Next one, Mayor, you mentioned something regarding emergency preparedness and pre-disaster mitigation. We have submitted, I guess, phase 2 of a proposal or an application to the Maryland Emergency Management Agency, MEMA, as I guess a lower subsidiary of FEMA, to get an emergency generator that will power our water treatment plant and the town offices in the event of emergency.
Right.
So we have submitted that application, and we're just waiting to hear word back from MEMA.
Yeah, because the last funding source on that, we weren't eligible for, so we just have to try again. I think that was like a year ago.
Yeah, but I believe we had to go through that phase to get to this phase.
Right, yes.
So we're kind of on track for what they said. We would have to wait till the next like series of series of funds that came through to it. And the last report that I had was regarding the program Open Space Community Center upgrade. Again, that's been approved through the county for us to move forward. Now it's sitting in clearinghouse review, and once the clearinghouse review, they said that would take about 8 weeks, so we still have probably a couple more weeks for that, and then it'll go in front of the board of Public Works, I guess for the state, to get on their agenda to vote on. So I'll keep you posted on that.
Okay. All right.
That's all I have for now.
All right.
Unless there's any questions.
Sounds good. Thank you. Okay, we're down to public comments and concerns. Ms. Marble, we'll take you first.
I only have 2 things tonight, 2 official things. We still need a treasurer. If anybody here wants to be the treasurer for the rec council, come up to the rec council meeting next month. We just had elections to, I guess, re-elect us for next year, so you guys are stuck with me for another year because nobody else wants it, just me. So, and then we need a treasurer. Our treasurer is stepping down after, I'm not allowed to tell you how many years she's been there, but you guys probably know.
Oh, it's been a long time.
It's been a long time, so she's done, but if somebody wants to step up, then she said she was more than willing to help train them, and she's going to stick for a few months until we get somebody. Baseball and soccer, ending wrestling, basketball, and we're talking about spring sports already. But that's it.
Okay.
Thank you for listening.
All right, thank you. Okay. Any other public comments and concerns? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Mark Andrews, and I'm the executive pastor at Uniontown Bible Church, which is out here on 75. And I just wanted to come in today and thank you all for working with us. Specifically, this past week we had an event on Saturday here in town called Union Bridge the Gap, in coordination with Councilwoman Kalin and Officer Calusi from the Sheriff's Department, who's here too. We were able to bring over 118 volunteers to the streets to work on 4 specific areas in Union Bridge this past Saturday. One group worked on Main Street. We swept, cleaned up trash, weeded, sprayed weed killer, remulched the town square, touched up paint on some local businesses, power washed the sidewalks and the monument, washed some of the business windows, all the way from the railroad all the way up to Lehigh and on some of the side streets. The second group worked at Elmer Wolf Elementary by landscaping the entire front of the school, adding pavers, mulch, pavers around the new water fountain that was placed in, fixing the rotted front sign, and power washing most of the sidewalks in front of the school. And the third group worked at a local townsperson who's a shut-in who was in need of some extra help with their yard that we were made mention to and got in contact with. And then the fourth group worked with our food pantry called Little Love that serves Union Bridge, New Windsor, and Tawnytown, and they went out and we served roughly 40 to 45 families a month with food and needs. So with all of that, we donated roughly $1,200 of supplies and goods this past week, had 118 volunteers. There were other businesses involved that also helped, such as Malat in Tawnytown. So I'm here not to, we don't want to pat on the back, that's not why I'm here. I'm here because I just wanted to let you guys know that we are specific and we are wanting to, we call it get off the hill. We're up on the hill. We call it get off the hill. We're wanting to serve the local community. And so I wanted to make sure that you knew what we had done and that we're here in the future to help out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think you guys did one heck of a job Saturday. I was up and down through town a couple of times and saw all the people working. Everybody did a fantastic job. And it really, really looks nice. I really appreciate what you've done. I'm sure the citizens of this town, I know the council appreciates everything, and I just don't know how to thank you enough. It was an absolute wonderful group of people that was there, and what they've done was, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
So.
If there's things in the future that you know of, we would love to have that because it wasn't a one-time thing. We'd like to come back and help in other areas. So.
Okay, we'll definitely work, because Amy's here, and we'll keep you in mind.
Absolutely.
Absolute wonderful job.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kimon Jones. I've lived in Union Bridge now for a little over a decade. Some of my own personal interests are town economy, public safety, and community involvement. I had had 3 or 4 questions here I just wanted to ask the council as a whole. Councilman Wilson, you're the president of the council. I just wanted to know what is this council currently doing to recruit new businesses and retain current businesses in the town of Union Bridge?
What's the question again?
What is this council currently doing to recruit new businesses and retain current businesses in the town of Union Bridge?
Well, I don't think that's just a question for Donald. That's a question for,
The council.
yeah. We're constantly talking to people that want to open up new businesses. The biggest problem is we have buildings on Main Street that people have that are uncooperative with what they want for the rent of the buildings to get people in them. I've had a couple different businesses that wanted to come in town, such as the businesses on Main Street. Some of those buildings, they want absolutely way too much for rent for them, and people can't afford to pay that kind of rent and have a business. Yes. We have a part of the building out next to the general store that half the building is empty. That's out next to the Dollar General. And they've been uncooperative with trying to get people in that building. I mean, I have people that want to come, but they can't afford to open up a business and pay that kind of rent. And you know, until those people decide they want to cooperate with us, I mean, we had through economic development, not just through Carroll County, but with the state of Maryland, there's programs that will help open up small businesses, but these people have got to be realized that their businesses those buildings aren't worth the kind of money they're asking for.
But I also think we've had success with at least keeping the doctor's office open for a little bit
yes.
longer. We did a letter campaign, wrote letters to Frederick Memorial Hospital, to the board of directors, and then with Perry going to find different banks trying to replace PNC. I think that kind of shows that we are trying to retain businesses, keep businesses, bring ones in that are leaving.
A lot of people don't realize back in, I think it was in January this past year, when Dr. Lehigh gave notice that he was going to retire, our doctor's office was going to close up. And I, with Laura's help, I got names of all the board of directors and sent every board of directors for Frederick Memorial Hospital a personalized letter. And then Donald and I met with him, and some other people met with him, and we kept our doctor's office open, because it would have been closed up July 1 if it hadn't been for us really banging on their doors and telling them our needs.
Okay. My next question. A few weeks ago, there was a really nice event over at the fire hall. This was the third year in a row that there was a drug expo that was held there, and the expo has been well received by the public. He's done a good job of educating attendees, providing services for people, and giving numerous first-hand testimonials of the effects that drugs have had on individuals in the community. I just wanted to know exactly what role did members of this council play in making this a successful event, and also what proposals are you all intending on making for next year's expo? Because each year that it's been there, not gonna lie, each year it's gotten better. And I mean, I've heard a lot of positive things from members of the community and people who don't even live in this community that have actually attended the expo, have actually spoken about just how positive it was, and actually there's some of the resources that they were able to get in contact with because of the expo. So anything that you guys have planned on for next year, and what did you guys do to put that in place?
That there, I'm going to let you talk to Amy about, because she's the chairperson on that, which the council is, more than willing to help her at any time that they can. I do know that it was well taken by a lot of people in the county, also the state, because I'm on a state committee with Maryland Municipal League, and I took the information to them, and we're using a lot of the stuff that I'm taking. Actually, next week I have a meeting down in Annapolis. I'm taking some of the information that we had at our meeting, and all the towns throughout all of Maryland are putting things together, and all the counties, and we're using bits and pieces of everybody's program. And we're lucky because we actually had, with our sheriff's department, the state's attorney's office, the health department, every organization in Carroll County is well in tune with what's going on with that. And I'll just let Amy talk on that a little bit.
Actually, this year, we brought in 60 to 70 students from FSK High School. If we could broaden that next year to hopefully other schools. It was a learning experience full of educational activities for them. They were given the opportunity to be counseled, to open up. It's attended by government agencies, by treatment agencies, by special guest vendors. Bigger and broaden our horizons. Save the date, October 4th, 2018, just to make it bigger and better and broader.
Okay. They just continue to grow, huh? Continue to grow. Okay. Last question. This just has to do with just public safety in general. I know that I think that everyone would agree with keeping the community involved and keeping residents informed. And increasing communication and collaboration with the Sheriff's Department are all vital components necessary to lower the crime rate here in Union Bridge. Exactly just what initiatives has this council put forward to attaining these goals, and do you have a timetable for the implementation of these initiatives?
Not really on that, other than our deputies here tonight. I guess we can announce our new...
I was going to do it right after him.
Okay.
As of last Thursday, February 19th, I've been permanently reassigned to Union Bridge and New Windsor. So I'll be doing both communities. With that, I'll do 20 hours in Union Bridge, 20 hours in New Windsor per week. So, yeah.
Which means he will be strictly not a Carroll County, he'll be still Carroll County deputy, but he doesn't have to go on patrol in Pleasant Valley and Westminster to be strictly Union Bridge and New Windsor. Okay.
Thank you.
While you're up, Brian, you may as well go ahead.
So with that, like I just announced, New Windsor and Union Bridge will be my new home. I will be patrolling 20 hours per week in both communities, so it's been reassigned. So that's awesome news for everybody. Looking forward to it as well. One of the initiatives that I got with the DOT certified deputies on Saturday, and the supervisor, he had eyes opened this weekend on Lehigh with the trucks. So we are going to, in the very near future, going to hold an initiative for, it's going to be a mandatory truck inspection here in either Union Bridge or New Windsor or in between. And that's going to be on a barge weekend. So it's going to assist in trying to educate the truckers on the appropriate keeping up with logbooks and that kind of stuff. So this weekend we stopped 2 trucks and issued about $5,000 worth of citations due to the fact of fraudulent logbooks and so on and so forth. So,
Maybe just make one thing clear, that that is not Lehigh's trucks.
yeah,
I
it's
think
not
people
Lehigh.
have to realize they are company-owned trucks by private individuals and out-of-state companies, so it's not Lehigh trucks.
Yep, and this weekend, what made our eyes wide open was the New Jersey trucking firms coming in. Their logbooks are really messed up. So with that, Lehigh is on board as well, as far as I understand, talking to them this weekend as well. So we're going to be setting that up here very soon. And then I'm going to move in with the calls for service for the month of September. And I will get you a copy probably tomorrow. So we handled about 55 calls for service last month. Some serious, some not. So we had 10 patrol checks, 12 vehicle stops, 1 fight in progress, 2 harassments, 4 protective order services, 1 assault, 2 civil, 1 disorderly, 2 home detention checks, 4 suspicious, 4 welfare checks, 2 complaints about CDS, 1 intoxication, 1 assist other agency. We always get these complaints as well. The dirt bikes, mini bikes, we had 1 of those. We had 1 fight in progress, 2 animal complaints, 1 follow-up, 1 canine stand, and 1 general traffic complaint, and 1 accident with person injured within the town limits. So hopefully that will start curbing.
Was that in 1 month?
That was 1 month, yeah, 55 calls for service.
Visited with John Elwin.
So with that, hopefully that will start going the opposite now that I'm here. So I thank you.
I'd just like to go back on one thing. The other week when we had the drug awareness program, the status report showed 9 overdoses for this year for Union Bridge. But when we say Union Bridge, that doesn't mean just in the town of Union Bridge. It means the surrounding area that has a Union Bridge address. There was 1 fatal, that was about 1.5 miles down the road, so that was not in town. I do know for a fact that 2 of the overdose cases that we had, 1 was on the parking lot at the Dollar General, that they were from out-of-town people that drove there. And we had another one day, people came from Tawnytown all the way here and pulled on the ramp at the fire hall for a drug overdose. I don't know why they came that far. I guess they was going to see if they could make it that far or not, I don't know. But so when you hear 9 for Union Bridge, it's not just Union Bridge. The Union Bridge address expands outside of town a good ways. I mean, a lot of times you'll see somebody's obituary says Union Bridge. Union Bridge address goes almost to Lincoln High School down where Lincoln Winery is. So when it says Union Bridge, sometimes you're going, our one route over here at the post office, a 60-mile radius of the route Union Bridge address. So when we say Union Bridge, it's not right in the town sometimes, so it does make a difference. So just to let everybody know that when you say Union Bridge, it could be 2 or 3 miles. It could be Uniontown on the other side of Uniontown. It still has a Union Bridge address. So. Okay, anyone else?
Hi, I'm Sherry Thompson with Dream Big Union Bridge, and I just came from our meeting. We have now officially started. We're going to meet the first Monday of every month, and on an as-needed basis, it'll be the 3rd. So we would like to invite you all to attend the meeting when you can, anytime. But right now with the holidays and everything, we thought it was best just to meet once a month. So it'll be the very first Monday of every month. So that way we won't be, run into your all's meeting. The other thing is we're having a.
What's the
holiday-
time of your meeting?
Where?
6:30, and it's at the
Thank you.
St. Paul's Methodist Church there in Benton. Is that St. Paul's?
Lutheran.
St. James Lutheran.
St. James Lutheran.
Okay. So, and then we're also sponsoring a holiday decoration contest, and we'll have flyers posted all the way around. There's going to be, it's open to everyone in town, with both residential and commercial. It's $50 gift card for first place in each category, and the categories are most lights, most creative, and vintage charm. The participants and the winners will be on our Facebook page. Judging will begin on Sunday, December 12th. Winners will be announced on the 17th. And Edie Fouts and Pam Fink and Penny Larson are the contact people on that. The gift cards are compliments of Union Bridge Lions Club. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to partner up with all the different organizations. One thing, we've partnered up with Yuba about the pet parade. Hopefully that we can do that in conjunction with, we're going to have a duck derby race, we're hoping, as one of our fundraisers. And then we're going to extend that out to other organizations if they want to set up a space or whatever to be part of it. So we all want to work together. We want to help the other organizations as much as we want them to help us. So I think together we can really make a difference.
Well, I know the first Mondays I can't make because the first Mondays every month is the Carroll County Volunteer Firemen's Association meeting, and until next May, I'm second vice president there, so I know I'll be tied up until at least May. Hopefully I'll be out of that office after May. We'll see. So if any other council can make that. Okay, is there anything else? I'm going to start with Amy then. She's
Okay. I'm going to read a few things because you know how I am. Mark touched on Union Bridge the Gap on Saturday, October 21st. It was helpful, amazing, and inspiring to see and to receive help from the beautiful group of volunteers from Uniontown Bible Church. This group of volunteers was 100 people strong. They donated their time, talents, so graciously. My wish is that the people of Union Bridge will maintain the church volunteers' beautiful efforts and projects that they started. Again, thank you. I have not had any water calls since our last meeting. Just to touch on what Mr. Jones was talking about, we had our Save Our Streets Drug Awareness Expo Thursday, October 5th. I would like to thank all of our special guests, vendors, Save Our Streets committee that helped all year long, treatment facilities, speakers, McDaniel College, Dream Big, community members, the Sheriff's Department, Union Bridge Fire Company, State's Attorney, the Health Department, and so many more. Our mission is that we are committed to eliminating the use and abuse of prescription and illegal drugs by all members of society. Prevention starts with education. This year, we brought 60 to 70 students from FSK High School to a 5-hour learning experience, which was full of educational activities. Some were quite hilarious. Impairment goggles, playing cornhole, that was hilarious. And we had the public come in the evening. If we have helped one person stop using or educated someone to never start, we have reached our goal. This is our 3rd annual Save Our Streets. Our next expo will be October 4th, 2018.
Thank you. Okay, Donald.
Okay, I too would like to ditto what Perry said to the Uniontown Bible Church. It's an outstanding job, and we do appreciate it very much. Mike, you're doing a good job on these grants here. Yep. I'm sure Kenny will enjoy riding around in a decent truck now.
Enjoy driving the truck, yeah.
Okay, and also Kenny did some patching with the perma patch at the north end of Main Street where our street is deteriorating over top of the sewer line. We got that pretty much under control this year. White Pine is here to do our streets for us. We're going to have a couple of add-ons, and one of them is up here. Edgar is up at the community center. That parking lot, we'll see what kind of, I haven't got a price on it yet. We've got to see, make sure our money's okay. And we're going to mow our park down there. That park really gets used. You have no idea how many people use that park. It's really I'm really pleased with it. And Kenny cleaned the corner of Buttersburg and our parking lot. It really opened up the visibility. It really looks nice around there. I'm really pleased with that. Name is also pleased with her.
You can see.
We have an issue up between Broadway and Thomas Street, East Broadway and Thomas Street. There is a right-of-way there that the homeowners have mowed for years, and I understand now it's been a little bit on the lax side of being mowed by some of the homeowners. There's 4 houses on Thomas Street, and there's 3 houses that are affected on East Broadway. I would suggest that we have Kenny periodically go ahead and mow that, and that would eliminate any issues that this guy is not mowing it on a regular basis and somebody else is. Everybody feel the same about that?
Yes.
Good. So that pretty well clears me.
Okay. Just a note on the park then, I was just telling Donald, at the fall conference the other week, let Dawn get her tape in there. At the fall conference the other week, they have what you call a sustainable community, and we are an applicant of that. And I think with our park down here, with the trail that's been completed now, the trail that we have at the community center with the exercise equipment there, and then also working with the lady with the butterfly park that we have there, I think we are eligible for that sustainable community designation when they give you, was you there when they give the plaques out for that?
I wasn't there, but I know about the program. I
But-
can get us, check on the information for that to see what we.
I got it all.
You got
but
it, okay.
But I think we're, with all that park being done now, I think, I'll get with Mike, I think we're eligible for that designation for next year. So that's another feather in our hat. Okay, Edgar.
Okay, couple of things, we're working on putting a porta pot up at the center. Because once the ball season's over, they will be moving theirs, so we're gonna try to keep one up there mostly all year round. Probably in the wintertime, much we probably do away with it. The grass been all seeded up there on the bank and growing. The last mowing for the year up there is gonna be October the
September.
September, yeah, September the 29th. We've been having problems up there where somebody's already rode down the bank with a bicycle. So, it was, and the biggest thing, I guess, was waiting for the grant to see what's gonna happen up there. So, okay, that's about all I have.
Okay. Laura?
On October the 12th, I attended the CCRC meeting. It was very brief. There was not a quorum. I think we had 3 members there, so nothing was really voted on. We just had, like I said, a brief meeting. So far in October, we had reported 6 streetlights that were out. 5 have been fixed, and as of tonight, 3 more have been submitted. 1 was the other one that was not fixed. So that will be 9 total calls.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I attended the fall conference on the 12th and the 13th with Perry. Attended some very good classes, the one on for small towns, where the small towns could get together and discuss issues that they were having that other small towns might be having, or that we've had and already taken care of. Another one was the opioid crisis in Maryland, which was very interesting. Didn't give us a lot of, what to do about it, but it gave us a lot of information about the problem and what's going on. And the third one that I attended was the economic development right mix of retail for your community. And I've gotten a lot of information out of that I hopefully will help us with that too. On the 18th was the Carroll County Environmental Advisory Council meeting. We've finalized the update on the environmental stewardship brochure, which if the county commissioners approved it on the 19th, you should be seeing that come through soon, Dawn. They'll be sending you copies of it. It's the one that says what the county does to improve our environment, the programs that we have going on. You should also be receiving, if they approve it, the solar energy brochure that we've put together that gives anybody in the county places to go for information and how to find out what the zoning is for Carroll County and so on and so forth for putting in accessory use solar panels on your property, which is just for your property, not a solar farm that would provide energy for other people. They were to go before the county commissioners on Thursday, the 19th, and then if everything was approved, you should be getting those. And I have my next engagement and outreach committee meeting on the 25th. We should be finalizing the If I Were Mayor contest essay question and getting that documentation ready to go out to the schools. If you have anything of any kind of environmental nature that you would like to see the Carroll County Environmental Advisory Council address, you can send it to me or you can send it down to the county. There's a website for the Environmental Advisory Council. We're working on our work plan for next year, what we're going to be addressing. And we do take requests. And I believe that's all I have.
Okay. One thing I want to bring up, so everybody, all of our council puts it on their schedule. December the 14th will be our our quarterly MML meeting, chapter meeting. It will be at the Union Bridge Fire Hall that evening. I have to get with Dawn because we have to get her invitation sent out to the commissioners and all of our delegates for that meeting. So that will be that evening. We'll have to come up with our menu, get that sent out. Friday, if I guess everything goes okay, Dawn and I will be sitting in Westminster Friday morning at the training center for our annual, now what did they, I know they got an acronym for it, ND.
MS4 permit.
Yep. So we have to do that every year. This year it's going to be short and it's only supposed to be half a day, so that's a good thing. Before it's been all day long, this year it's going to be half a day, so that's a good thing. So, and we must take that every year to keep our permit up, so.
Halloween, do you want to announce trick or treat?
Tomorrow night is the Halloween, Lions Club has their little Halloween event at the Union Bridge Fire Hall tomorrow evening. And I think that starts at, I'm not sure, but I'm thinking 6:30. So that's the Lions Club takes care of that. So they'll have a little parade around the fire hall and a judging contest for the kiddies. So that's usually pretty nice. I hate being a judge for that. I got out of it this year, but you have all those kids and you got to try to pick out who's the best of 100 and some little kids running around in there.
Give them all a prize.
So then you got all those parents looking at you because they think their kid's the best.
Sure.
So, and then our trick-or-treat night is the 31st on Halloween night. It's from 6:30 to 8. Anybody wants to participate, have your light on. There's usually a boatload of kids around town. After years and years of trying to get everybody on the same track, we finally got accomplished years ago that every town has trick-or-treat the same night, so you don't have to worry about van loads of people coming from town to town trying to get everybody's trick-or-treat night. So it's be surprising, you know, there's a lot of children that are in Union Bridge, the Bark Hill, Middleborough area that aren't in, you know, they're not out there, they're not in a town, and your side streets and your roads, but there's a lot of children that's going to be in town that night, so drive very carefully. I know we have, like you say, we have all these trucks going in and out of town, and parents, please, if you're going to be out there, make sure you have a flashlight, have your kids dressed in something that is reflective instead of just walking up and down the streets with dark clothing on. If they're going to have costumes on, make sure the parents are out there with them. And I usually ride around town that night, and it's surprisingly how many grown-ups now participate with their children going around town, and I think that's good. And you know, you don't want them out there by themselves, so it is very nice a program.
I have a question. Is there Is there an age limit on trick or treat? Because I've told high school kids, you're too old to be trick.
You're too old.
I mean, if you're with a child or something, okay, but when you just show up in my house with a bag and don't even.
I don't know. I always thought it was like 11, 12 years old. I don't know.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. So
When you get 13, you're a teenager at 13, so it should be from that
I always
below.
feel like it's insurance and my house won't get egged. I happily hand over the candy to the teenagers.
And isn't it better that they're out there trick-or-treating than up at the center doing vandalism or around the houses doing vandalism? Isn't it a much better thing that they come trick-or-treating?
they gonna get toothbrushes and toothpaste.
That's fine.
Apples and raisins, apples and raisins.
And one other little add note, next month, everybody's gonna probably look at me and think I lost my razor blades, but next month is No Shave November. And I'm gonna, the other week down at MML, there was a couple of us mayors were talking, and we didn't officially say what we were gonna do, but I'm gonna do No Shave November, and I'm gonna have sponsor sheets out, and I'm gonna do it for fallen firefighters. So any money that I make that month, I'm gonna ask on my sponsor sheets, I know you don't want to look at it, but I'm going to have a picture of myself in the corner. I'm going to have names in the sponsor sheet. I'm going to ask $5 donation from everybody to sponsor that. And hopefully through here and all of my relatives through Carroll County and everything, we're going to have a pretty good turnout. And that money will be given to fallen firefighters because our active firefighters can't grow beards because sealing up a mask for fires means I don't respond to fires anymore other than the PIO part of it. I'm going to see how much of a growth I can get and ask for sponsorships and donate that money.
Also, next month, November, is Municipal Government
Yes.
Works Month. So we'll do something for that. I haven't figured out what yet this year.
Well, we'll be flying our flag, and then if any of the council, of course, we weren't in that last week, but if any of the council people do anything around town, just make sure you get a picture of it.
And you also have the flyer over there about Union Bridge government that anybody's can take.
I'll be serving donuts.
Okay, I have here our next work session is November the 13th.
Pictures.
Our next council meeting is November the 27th. Is there anything I've forgotten anywhere along the line? Okay. Hearing none, we're in line for adjournment then.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
We have a motion, we have a second?
Second it.
Okay, we have a motion and seconds. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, ayes?
Aye.
Those. Thank you very much for your attendance.